for those of you that know him, is one of the great future thinkers that you'll ever meet. He's an old friend of this show. He's spoken here many times. I remember about 10 years ago sitting with him afterwards, and he's talking about all this crazy stuff, and most of it's happened. Most of it comes true. So last year he spoke and gave an amazing, terrifying presentation last year, I remember, because he was talking about nanotechnology and the evils to which people will be able to put nanotechnology. So anyway, everyone hold tight. We are live right now. We're going to go off for a little bit, but as soon as Dion gets here, we'll get started.
Beautiful, thank you, thank you. Yeah, exactly. I will, absolutely. All right, slides, please. There we go. All right, so my name is Dion Hinchcliffe. I'm a industry analyst, book author, practicing enterprise architect. I've developed and delivered numerous large applications to millions of users, both inside and outside the enterprise. And so this talk, I mean, you've probably heard a lot of technical talks in the past and at this event. And we're going to get into some technology here, but I now realize, having delivered so many applications and solutions and platforms, I've been the CTO of two startups that have gone public, that the real challenge is something else, right? And I would say, if I had to put my finger on it, it's complexity management. That is the challenge. And it's causing us to realize our visions for cloud computing and digital transformation too slowly. We have to go a lot faster, right? And I liken this to the challenges that Elon Musk had with the Tesla Model 3, right? He simply couldn't build them fast enough, right? He hadn't industrialized his business in a way that can meet market demand. And that is right where almost all of us in this room are right now. We haven't industrialized cloud fast enough to keep up with demand. And our users are going elsewhere. The data clearly shows it. When I started in this business as an industry analyst, a thought leader, and so on, in year 2000, only 10% of IT was what we call shadow IT. People saying, hey, I have a better solution, but I can't get my IT department to work with me on it. I'm just going to do it anyway. We're now at 50%, and it's climbing. And so as of next year, we won't even be running most of IT in the average organization. Right? It's gone elsewhere. Right, so that's the premise of my talk, why multi-cloud integration, we're going to get into multi-cloud, will disrupt digital experience, because that's where the value is provided to our stakeholders, and drive growth. And that is a word that we have to get good at in IT, thinking about how we are making the business move forward. We're propelling it, because every company is a technology company, and cloud is where it's going to happen. So cloud has transformed the digital experience in every way imaginable, right? Software as a service, mobile applications, Internet of Things, everything. All those are primarily cloud-based experiences for all net new technology, right? And what we have to figure out, and quickly, is how to best adapt our connection to our stakeholders to survive, first of all, to sustain our organizations, and most of all, to grow, right? We should get IT back. I don't know how many of you are in the IT business. The reason that we're having a challenge is this. Put simply, technology is growing exponentially. The tech change is happening exponentially. Internet of Things, 50 billion devices. supposedly by 2020. And that's just the beginning. How are you going to manage the data streams and provide experiences for that? For the millions of devices that are about to enter your organizations, right? Mobile traffic, number of applications in the App Store, number of SaaS platforms, all exploding by every measure. We'll look at some examples here. If you want to survive, you have to figure out how to ride that exponential curve, right? And don't get me wrong, technology is a very good thing. Tech change has been a good thing for the human race. I have another slide, I don't think I have it in this deck, that shows that the human longevity is an exact match for the exponential growth curve of technology over the last 2,000 years. This change is by and large very good for us, but not for the organizations and IT departments as they're structured today. And there's an imperative here. Poor digital adaptation is wiping out our institutions faster than ever. Right? This is a famous chart that's been reproduced many times that shows that the average organization doesn't last very long. It's merged, acquired, or goes out of business in about 12 years. Most of the companies on the stock exchange from the year 2000 gone, right? The majority of them, 70% now as of this year. Primary cause, failure to technically adapt. Not industrializing, not meeting your Tesla Model 3 quotas for your organization. And we've seen correspondingly for organizations that are doing it, a lot of benefits. Digitally connected organizations get outsized benefits. This is a famous McKinsey study showing the average, 25% average improvement in top and bottom line for organizations that are digitally infused, if you will, right? I did a survey of CIOs. I picked what I thought, anyway, were the top CIOs in the world, and I asked them, how much pressure are you under to go faster, right? To ride that, climb that curve, ride the exponential growth wave. 94% of them said, oh, strong or very strong. That was the clearest signal out of my CIO survey last year. These are top folks. They're a little bit ahead of the rest of you, but that's, if you're not feeling it, and I imagine most of you are, we're being pushed really hard. Like, come on, guys, let's deliver on this faster. Let's make our customers happier. Let's give them what they expect. Let's stop that bleeding with things like shadow IT, right? And the challenge is primarily a people one, right? Digital adaptation's biggest challenge, this is Deloitte, who's been doing great work studying large amounts of organizations and going, what's getting in our way, right? It's culture and lack of skills. But I would argue there's a key missing component. Even if you fix this, we still can't do it, right? That's the purpose of this talk here, is to start this industry conversation about what is missing. I think there's a key piece missing in cloud and multi-cloud that could get us there. It's starting to appear though. It's not really actually missing, we're just not looking for it, right? We have to hold our customers digitally close 24 hours a day in every single channel now. That's what's expected, right? Right, whether you have to be on Amazon Alexa, have to be on the Apple Watch, you have to have a chat bot, you have to have all your connected devices and all of your mobile applications, and you have to have it today and always up to date and do everything your customers want. And that's not an unreasonable expectation, but it's really hard to do. If you're in IT, you know that 5% of the work is what everybody can see. 95% of the work is what nobody can see, except us, right? We know that it's difficult. So organizations that can quickly and nimbly use cloud to succeed, to drive things like sales, that's the traditional sales funnel. And I think as IT, we need to be really familiar with that because that's what drives growth. Are we accelerating customer relationship management, customer experience management, digital experience, all of those things that produces results for the business? This is why we're getting chief digital officers right next to the CIO now that says, let's do this faster, right? So there's all these things that need to be done, right? Rethinking our business models and building a platform strategy. We have to platform our businesses, design for our customers. For years and years, I would do these IT surveys, and customer experience, digital experience was nowhere to be seen in the top 10. It was number one when I surveyed those same line of business leaders, it was number one. Cybersecurity and cloud analytics, those are the top three typically in most IT surveys, except for last year. My CIO survey for the first time said put customer experience at the top. It's great, right? We're getting the innovation bug. We have to do this rapidly and openly and all these things. We're not going to go over all of this. My slides will be on SlideShare. for your study. So what do we have to take all these pieces? We have amazing raw assets, all of our, what I call legacy mountain, 30 and 40 years worth of on-premises spend, and then we have all these cloud platforms, Amazon, Azure, Google, Alibaba Cloud's coming, right? And we have to build on this digital cloud foundation to create these new digital products and services and still do all that other stuff that we did that runs the business, the ERP, right? The back office, all of those things. But along the way of putting most net new IT out into the cloud, we realized, well, there really is no one cloud, is there? The cloud is a cloud of clouds, system of systems, as we like to say in enterprise architecture. That whether we're using software as a service, or we're using our suppliers' IT, or for a variety of reasons, we have selected more than one cloud provider, we have to have different clouds. And in fact, that's the dream. The dream is to be able to put workloads wherever it makes the most sense, wherever it's the highest performance, wherever it's the cheapest, wherever it complies with local security, regulation, governance, laws, all those types of things. And do this in real time. What's the next best place to run this workload? That's the dream, but it also gives us all these other advantages too. But the reality is that we have to have it anyway because of sourcing. IT comes from everywhere now, right? And to be good at the cloud means to be good at virtually every cloud. We don't have this muscle in our organizations yet. It took us years to get on-premises right, decades to get it right. It'll take us a long time to get this right too. And now what I'm seeing is organizations struggling mightily to rationalize all this. I don't even know what workloads I have and where. I don't know what we're paying for or how we charge back on it. All right, and I still am under this tremendous pressure, right? Now, remember, 94% said strong or very strong pressure. And by the way, from who? From everyone. That was the other thing that came out of that survey. Multi-cloud, that's the future. But we have to get good at it. We're not yet. And that's okay, as long as we look and realize what the part of the issue is we have to get better at it. And at the same time, on the edge of all of that network, that cloud, is we have to be everywhere. Right, this is a graphic I periodically update to say, here's all the major places you have to be. There's lots more. Inside of each one of these boxes, whether you have websites, microsites, email, social media, mobile applications, voice and gesture are getting very big. Everything's going to be voice controlled. Alexa for Business is coming. I'm holding CIO workshops on how to do Alexa for Business. How am I going to provision, help my customers get support, ask for things from us, and automate everything through that, right? Internet of Things, wearables, augmented reality is going to be much bigger than anyone in this room suspects, and it will sneak up on us. Right? Yet our customers are going to be going out to get help from someone else to do that. And all of this will demand the data that's in the systems you're all running today. We have to, again, be much more agile in the true agile methodology sense of the word, as well as just we have to move faster, right? And more is coming, lots more. So how can we use every digital asset we have to drive results for our stakeholders? How can we get access to it easily, right? We talk about things like master data. Oh, we have to organize all of the data in our business to be able to get access to it. And by the way, yes, there's great case studies show if you do that, you'll be much better off. If you spent the last 5 years organizing your data, you're truly ready for this in a way that other organizations are 5 years behind you. So organizations like Nordstrom's, I think I'll cover that in this talk here briefly. But that is what's required, is to quickly be able to mobilize every digital asset we have to get value out of it and do it at a price point that's 1/10 we're doing it for today, 1/100th. How could that be possible? Is there really what we're doing so inefficient that we can drive 90 to 99% efficiency out of what we're doing today? Surprisingly, yes. That apparently seems to be the case. I'm talking to more and more CIOs that are finding that there are new routes to creating value, to doing some of this, right? So we'll talk about what that is. We are going to talk about Nordstrom. Poster child for digital transformation. Lots of good case studies. You can go read the Harvard Business Review case study where this is from, actually. Why does their strategy work? Why do they have the highest customer rankings? I love to poke fun at legacy organizations saying, show me your mobile app in the App Store and look at the average number of what the average review is. Usually it's about 2 stars. For a lot of very big companies, it's 1 star, average review. Terrible experiences. They're not mobilizing their assets, doing it quickly. They're just checking the tick box, not producing value. Nordstrom's average 5 out of 5 on their mobile app. They do astounding things. And they're a traditional organization that is eating the digital dog food, delivering amazing experiences. I could go on and on. I could take the rest of the talk talking about what they've done that's so amazing. And why you can't do it is what I just talked about. So I highlighted a key part of the study here, right? And this one thing is what drove revenues by more than 50% in the last 5 years, right? Now that's big in their business. Right? 3%, 4% front of the Wall Street Journal, you're killing it in retail, which is such a crowded, such a vicious market, right? They're showing big returns. And the reason is they're not just focusing on the best apps or best analytics or best social media engagement or whatever. No, they're doing those, by the way, because they have to do that and a whole bunch more. What they're doing is they're focused on building a foundation for integrated digital capabilities, making the right data accessible and simplifying the process. They make it easy to get the data from wherever it is, wherever it needs to be. And one of the rules they said is no more owning, proprietary owners in a department saying, that's my data. I paid for that system, or I am paying for that system, and I don't want to be in charge of servicing the rest of the business. That's your job, IT. They said, no, the customer owns that data. And it has to be set free to work for the customer. They have a great master data story, right? So that's part of it. Your data foundation, that's so key. And to do this, right, so we've got our stakeholders on the right and us, that's us and our suppliers, by the way, who will be getting in your way. If you accelerate, that 10x, they're gonna get in your way. But to create the omni-channel digital experience in the middle, we need something up there that allows us to combine data and systems with people to create value and do it in time frames that used to take us months and years and do it in weeks and days. That's what I'm saying. And can we do that? Can we do that is the question. So a few years ago, I started seeing some people doing things that looked a lot like that, right? It was very interesting. Because we're seeing this exponential challenge, right? Digital experience is becoming a profoundly exponential challenge, as we talked about here. And yet these organizations are trying to do something faster. I was just talking to the CIO of RipeCloud. They're a big cloud service provider, but they basically customize the big apps like Microsoft Office and tailor it for an industry and then deploy it. Well, that tailoring process they did using traditional IT methods, and it was painful, it was bespoke, it was riddled with errors and time-consuming processes. IT wasn't even happy to do that work. And he deployed a new way of creating those kinds of experiences that allowed him an 8 times productivity gain. You can see this in my Twitter feed. You can search for it and find it. Larry Clark. And he's a poster child. That's the highest number, though. He's getting close to that kind of 10x return for his challenges. And of course, the software industry has realized we have this problem too. They say you have so many more systems, so many more channels you have to engage in. We're going to create solutions for you, right? For digital engagement, right? Digital experience. There's 150 such applications back in 2011. There is 7,000 this year. How do you do that? How can you honestly tell your stakeholders when they come into your office that I need to know what the best solution is? There's nobody could know that. You can't advise them on that. That's amazing. I thought I've been tracking this trend for a while. This is Scott Brinker's data. I thought 2 years ago that it was unsustainable and most of these companies would go away. Well, no, a lot of them are using the same things we're talking about here, multi-cloud digital experience. These really agile platforms to very quickly create solutions. They're doing a lot of this stuff. That's why so many of these things exist. We just haven't learned that necessarily in the traditional IT space. So this goes back to what I said when I opened up the talk. We have to get better at complexity management. Much, much better. And get it out of our way. Reduce the friction. When we can find that lever, something special is going to happen. Another thing I keep pointing out, because again, it's new. For the first time this year, we see that IT has put customer experience as the #1 priority. By the way, not IT as a whole. We're talking primarily IT leadership, because if they don't do this, they're going to go away, right? Customer experience, as internal and external leaders, outperform the market by a large margin. Laggards greatly underperform. But I mean the market, I mean the S&P 500. If you're a customer experience leader, you're killing it. And that's increasingly what is being demanded of us. And that means getting out there, getting that data mobilized and into these channels, and satisfying customers, driving growth. Customers will pay more for it. It's a fantastic story. So and this is something I've been tracking as a passion for mine a lot, is the fact that most of these technologies, new development technologies, cloud platforms, citizen developer, are very democratized, right? We can get a lot more people in this business because we're not going to be able to staff into doing this. Centralized processes will not address this problem. I'll say that again, because we've been struggling as an industry for a long time with this. Centralized processes will not allow you to unleash all the value creation, all the experiences that you need to unleash. We need to get a lot more people. I showed this case study when we have more time where I talk about General Motors. They realized that the automotive industry was going mobile, right? That was going to be the center of the automobile ownership experience, sooner or later. And it is for many vehicles now. So they hired 8,000 mobile developers. They tried to staff their way into the problem. They're one of the few companies that could do that. Are you going to hire the equivalent number of mobile developers? Never mind, do Internet of Things and artificial intelligence and chatbots and all this other stuff that everyone's banging on your door for. Are you going to be able to do it? You're never going to be able to do it, is the realization that many are coming to, all right? We have to figure out how to increase our bandwidth. And so that's what we began to see, and I've been tracking this back when it was called Mashups, and even back in the 90s, I did 4GLs, where it's saying, well, we can teach analysts how to develop solutions, and everybody laughed back then too. It's real now, though. Low code and citizen development is happening. And it's for this, where the complexity tends to be lower, tends not to be mission critical systems. These are important applications that could automate important processes, but aren't maybe critical, vital processes. It's actually the bulk of IT. Fits that category. And our traditional project management, and say, all right, we're going to build a solution on this. We need to have, testers and developers, or we need to hire a company that has them to do that, and put them through the heavyweight process, when most of that stuff can actually be thrown away after it's used for that, whatever company project that is, right? I've done a lot. You can find my research and white papers and other work on this. But it's the shortest path to tapping into business value with your digital investments. So digital transformation is happening. And there are many good, like Nike is a big believer in low code, right? They have one of the best case studies for reducing all sorts of different production line problems by developing tracking apps that their managers developed off of existing IT, off of their existing data, and not using spreadsheets. Another thing we won't spend time going into, but that is the low-code tool today that everyone uses. Up to 50% of all critical business processes run in Excel. And whose fault is that? Unfortunately, that we're not helping. So hand coding is still how most IT is developed, but that's about to flip. Low code, OutSystems was just sold with a valuation of $1 billion. Become a real industry out of nowhere. They said what we can do is create the hundreds of cheap applications we need in days and weeks using a common platform where the business is the first person who works on this, and it easily integrates with all of our systems and data. That's the vision, and it's happening, arguably. It's astonishing how easy you can build some of these applications that are enterprise class. Right? Microsoft Power Apps, another example. Microsoft believes that they're never going to be able to solve. And they've told me this. Said, We know that we can't ever build all the applications our customers will need, and they need a lot more edge IT is what our data is showing us. So we're going to give them a platform that allows us to wire Microsoft capabilities into applications wherever they need to be, and by the way, let Excel users be able to do that. People with that level of training, be able to put Microsoft application features and data wherever it needs to serve the customer or the business, right? So I could bore you with lots of stats, but this is a real thing, and it's part of unlocking. It's part of the piece that's missing in that middle. Lots of IT, lots of data. We spent decades building it all up. Huge demand and no easy way to satisfy it, right? So this is some of the picture that's beginning to emerge, right? Great story. So, because a lot of the data that we need to use is out there. At T-Mobile is the story of T-Mobile. It's a couple years old now. This is when they were circling the drain in North America. They were going to go out of business. They were going to pull out and just go back to Europe, right? They didn't have the iPhone, and they had, I forget the numbers actually, 33 million customers in the US. That's a huge number of customers. But they were defecting en masse, and they were very vocal about it, saying, I can't wait for my contract to be up. I'm going to go to AT&T next week and get my new iPhone. I'm so excited. And it wasn't thousands or tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of people doing this. It was millions of their customers out there. The data was freely available, and they're like, we have a time criticality. That's one of the things that often comes up. When a solution is seated within a certain window, the business desperately reaches out to a service provider or tries to find the application. They don't even bother. They know IT, they got 50 apps, 50 projects in their backlog. Never mind what they're working on now. They don't have time to talk to me. Instead of saying, hey, you can service this. So what they did is they built a just-in-time customer engagement solution that said, hey, we see that you're unhappy. So as soon as someone said, hey, I'm not happy, I think I'm going to go, say, the iPhone's coming, don't worry about it, but we're really worried you're not happy. So what can we do to make you stay? And they would give them a series of offers, and they would escalate it. That was one of many things they tried, but this is the one that worked, right? And they had to do it very quickly because they're losing literally a million customers a month, right? That's hemorrhaging. What was amazing is that they were able to turn, do I have it on here? Yeah, they cut customer defections in half in 1 quarter using this, all right? Using their existing CRM data, that's how they found the people. They took the name and the location and found their CRM record. Now they knew how to contact them, and they reached out real time. They married marketing and analytics and social media, all these different data sources, and then they made it work, and they created an experience that people liked, and it saved the company, is what happened, right? And they did this very quickly. These are the types of things that we have to get good at. Right, these situations occur in our organization all the time, but we're not mobilized to do anything about it. But we can be. We now have the tools. Cloud is the fastest platform we have to act on these types of opportunities. And we can come together. We know where all the data is. We know how to use it safely. We should know how to turn it into the experiences that provide value, right? So I wrote a white paper a few weeks ago, free to download, where I said, we need to industrialize. This is a problem. We need to industrialize digital value creation, right? We have untold wealth in our data and existing IT systems and no way to easily put it to work. We don't have the capacity. Our assembly lines are tiny and slow. And they're expensive on top of all of that, right? So what I began to see is there's a pattern emerging, and there's a lot of different platforms and tools. I named some, but there's lots more that fit into this box, what I call a multi-cloud integration stack, multi-cloud digital experience integration stack. We need a new thing in the middle that's really lightweight, that can take all the data, do a Nordstrom basically. Right? Why aren't you getting 5-star average ratings in the mobile app store? Right? It should be easy, right? I mean, it's not like we don't know what to do to make that happen, we're just not doing it. Because we don't have an easy way. It's actually hard. When I talk to anyone who's in IT and ask them, why aren't you doing more mobile apps? Because your business users and your customers really want them. And they go, well, it's hard, right? Well, but it's been hard for 10 years. We should have gotten better by now. So the platforms are making that happen, right? Mobile is a big problem just because it is very different than all the other types of IT stacks that we have. The large, complicated, the mobile device management story is a mess, but that's also true of all the other things that are coming down the road, the Internet of Things and is going to be a big one. I think most IT departments aren't aware that they're about to be connected to millions of 24-hour streaming devices that they need to be able to put to work in the business. And it's coming fast, right? So at the bottom is all of your clouds, is at the bottom. Then all of your applications, databases, and devices. Then security, 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 and security, more security. Application services, including an applications catalog, tenant management, app store, extensibility, personalization. All of this has to be personalized, so it should be a first-order citizen. Digital experience, default template experiences, components, federated search, notifications, low code, all of that. And then it should work on almost all of our channels, right? Get two so you get good coverage. Because they don't, the ones that I see that work really well aren't welded into your business. They run side by side with everything else really well. And so the idea is there's really three audiences here. There's system integration teams. We have to be creating APIs and microservices for everything that doesn't already have it. Has to. That's how that data gets set free. Everything needs a URL, or URI if you are really an enterprise architect. I'll say it again because this is something I was doing a workshop for CIO, the largest construction company in the world. I was explaining an earlier version of this whole thing to him. And he goes, oh, I get it, that makes perfect sense. We need a URI for every piece of data. And I go, yes, perfectly said. I wish I had said it. But that's what we have to do. Create a URI for every piece of data in your organization. Then, create experiences from it and use them to create value, right? Our workers, our customers, our partners. It's that simple. And do it in very little time compared to the way you do it today. And it is happening, right? So this is multi-cloud, because it's got to be all your clouds, all your data, all your devices, everything, and make it happen. So, to wrap this up, what worked in the past, not going to work anymore, don't do it, right? Won't work in the exponential era. You're like using a low-powered weapon that was very effective in the past against a much, much bigger obstacle now. It's not going to work. Let the network create greater customer experiences. Decentralize but coordinate this so that there's some consistency. That's what the platform can help with. Leverage the power laws. Look those up if you don't know what they are. Automate everything. Educate and skill build on how to do this, right? It's for all your knowledge workers. Seek opportunity but don't chase fads. That's one of the biggest things I've noticed. The really good leaders don't chase every fad. They chase the ones that matter. So I hope you found that was useful. They're about to drag me off stage. We have another great speaker, a good friend of mine, David Linthicum, coming up. I'd love to talk to you about this more. I'll be around for a while. Sarbjeet Johal is here, working with me. Also can give you my card. Thank you very much.